I have been asked by one of my subscribers to comment on the shooting of Brian Thompson by Luigi Mangione. I never bothered until now because my repertoire is based on setting records straight, and I honestly didn't see a whole lot of misconceptions about the shooting. But I got to thinking about the implications of what Luigi did, especially with respect to the question, is Luigi a hero? I then started to frame an argument that I will now present, and probably piss off both sides. Hello out there. I am trying to get through.
With cold, blunt analysis cradled in the warmth of reasoning, it's time for Johnny Walker Dread to straighten you out on a thing or two. Emanating all the way from exciting Las Vegas, Oklahoma, it's time for the Johnny Walker Dread Show.
I want to take a moment to address those threatening his wife and kids. Regardless of whether you think Luigi was a hero or a villain, and we'll get to that in a moment, you have to at least acknowledge that he took out his aggressions on someone that was at least involved in the decision-making that engendered the homicidal motive, and that Luigi also had the gumption to at least carry it out, although shooting someone in the back as he's walking away from you is not exactly the most courageous act ever conducted. Those threatening his wife and kids are nothing more than insufferable cowards. They're just trying to scare an innocent family that has suffered enough. Can we all agree on that? So with that said, let's get on with it. I have been reading up on United Healthcare's policies and Brian's involvement as CEO. I get the impression that Brian was not exactly blameless in all this. I get that insurance companies often have to make hard decisions that hurt others. But Brian does come off as the kind of corporate money hoarder that people have come to hate. The stories are everywhere, and I don't think I can chalk them all up to opportunistic false flags planted by those wanting to reinforce a political narrative. There seems to be genuine pain out there, and Brian comes off as someone who was perhaps indifferent to such suffering. Around 50 years ago, a graduate student at Stanford University named Theodore Streletsky had had enough with his graduate advisor. One day he took a ball-peen hammer to the professor's head. He was convicted of murder, but oddly enough, he didn't serve a lot of time for the killing, only 7 years. I read the background of the case, and his advisor comes off as a real jackass. The dude spent 19 years chasing a PhD in mathematics and was never able to garner one, and his advisor seemed to be the biggest reason why. Since I heard about that case, I use the ball-peen hammer rule when dealing with students, although it works in all areas of human interaction. Pretend that the student you're grappling with has a ball-peen hammer in his pocket and act accordingly. Because there's an old saying, be careful of who you piss off, because sooner or later you'll piss off someone who matters, and a person carrying a ball-peen hammer and willing to use it matters. Perhaps Brian didn't learn this lesson until it was too late. You might pass a new rule that debilitates a population and think there's not a damn thing they can do about it. But there is. Remember, no matter how much money you have and power you exert, you're a lesser man than the dude with the 45 in his pocket. He has the equalizer, and all he needs is the motivation to use it. And all you lefties out there wondering if these rules apply to conservatives who pass laws that hurt people, my response is absolutely. But here's the rub. Conservatives are not the ones passing laws to neuter their own equality. We're not the ones demanding that you turn in your ball-peen hammers. So there's a lot of hypocrisy coming from the left on this case. They're the ones that clutch pearls over the availability of guns, yet applaud a young man as a hero for using one to kill one of their bogeymen. Would it have been better in their eyes if all Luigi could do was write Brian hate mail? But keep in mind, I hang out on the conservative side. I probably don't recognize the hypocrisy in my own arguments as easily as a lefty would. The left always tries to pass themselves off as the party of peace, but that has never been true. Violence is very much the crescent wrench in their toolbox, but sooner or later, they will learn this lesson too. A lot of Antifa go around saying that they punch those who they perceive as Nazis. I doubt they've ever done any such thing. I doubt they've ever actually encountered a real Nazi. But I always ask them, are the Nazis allowed to punch you back? And in today's society, there is a non-zero chance that the person you're punching is armed with more than a ball-peen hammer. Behave accordingly. Now, does all this support Luigi's actions? Certainly not. Not legally. Some are comparing Luigi to Kyle Rittenhouse. But as I stated in an earlier video, such comparisons are ridiculous. Kyle had a legitimate, I would even say iron-tight, claim of self-defense. As for Luigi, not so much. Can he claim defense of others? Not legitimately, and I explained why in another video. What about morally? To me, this was just a cold-blooded murder. If Luigi had handed Brian a pistol and challenged him to a duel, that would exhibit at least a shred of honor. Or how about some old-fashioned fisticuffs? I think even I would be sympathetic to Luigi if he had raised his dukes and gave Brian a shot in the spleen, like what you would see in an Irish bar fight. I would ask, what did he do to deserve that? Oh, back pain? Insurance denied? Carry on. But shooting him in the back of the head? Oh, hell no. The left is pushing the if you had a chance to kill baby Hitler philosophical argument. But let's not confuse Brian Thompson with Hitler. Regardless of United Healthcare's policies, Brian is no Hitler. He was probably an otherwise okay dude who simply looked the other way when it came to the suffering of others. Or perhaps he knew the policies were wrong but felt he had to go along with them, for various reasons. Or perhaps the policies were absolutely needed to keep insurance premiums down for everyone. I'm not sure. But committer of genocide? Nah, let's not go there. So the left has a hero in a man who ambushed someone else and shot him in the back of the head. In all honesty, I can't recall conservatives ever making someone who did that into a hero. Can any of you think of any examples? Dunno. Of course, acquiescing to leftists on this matter would set a horrible precedent. Who gets to decide who is worthy of assassination and who is not? I was hanging out at my favorite restaurant chain, and they just told me that I now have to pay for coffee refills. What a crock! So I know what it's like to be devastated by the actions of corporate CEOs, but I don't think I would be justified in taking violent action against the decision maker. I'm not telling you which chain it is, because I don't want any of my subscribers exacting revenge on my behalf. So if you can kill Brian Thompson and be hailed as a hero, what about killing the local insurance rep who refuses to sign off on your claim? That's repugnant on the face of it. What about the real estate developer who buys up land across the street to build Section 8 housing? What about the politician who signs legislation to take my guns away? Okay, wait. I'm not doing my argument any favors here. Like my video and subscribe to my channel.